All right, everyone, it's time for our weekly Q&A session here. You can pay me to compliment me, or you can call me an asshole. It doesn't really matter because it's money. Anyway, make sure that I'm actually live on YouTube first. 10 to 20 second delay. Depends on how their servers are working. Yes, I am supposedly live there. All right, so first and foremost, before we get to any super chats, because people are still loading in here, over 100 people already watching. We're at 1/3 of a BLU, a Biden loser unit, because he gets about 300 people watching his official White House live streams when he gives a speech. Meanwhile, Trump the other day, he has a speech, he had like 5,000-6,000 people there. Supposedly, again, most popular president ever versus, orange Goebbels, supposedly. So we will be doing Q&A. I wanted to get a little bit into the Taliban trolling Biden really briefly first, though, because they raised a flag mocking the Iwo Jima flag raising in World War II, wearing U.S. equipment that Biden left behind. And now he's talking about, well, maybe we'll have to go in and scuttle all of that the U.S. vehicles and other goods. I'm like, well, you could have done that before. But none of these people, they were completely taken unaware by the speed of the Taliban retaking Afghanistan. That's because they're fucking stupid. There's no other way to cast the Biden administration, by the way. There's literally no other way at this point than to say it's gross incompetence at every possible level. It's not just Biden being demented. Clearly, the people that are around him that actually make the decisions are kind of incompetent too. Otherwise, these things wouldn't be happening. Look at the economy. It's way, way worse than just Afghanistan. Now he's trying to ban imports of Russian-made ammos and weapons of various kinds. I'm thinking, well, it's a good way to make the ammo suppliers in the U.S. more wealthy, actually. It's not going to throttle the supply. There's plenty of supply. It's just that it's scarce enough that it's more costly now. If you've tried to buy ammunition in the last year and a half or so, you'd understand. You can buy it online. There's 1,000 different sites where you can buy ammo online, get it mailed right to you. It's perfectly legal. You don't need an ID to buy ammo. By the way, this sort of nullifies gun control when you think about it, because you can literally mill your own your own receivers and everything like that if you know what you're doing. So ghost guns my ass. All it is people engaging in a proud American industry. Apparently, by the way, someone mentioned earlier on Twitter that actually there's a gun shop in upstate New York that has M1 Garands. They start at $1,000, so for what you're getting on the pricey side, but an iconic weapon. I'm not sure what, by the way, and this is just general banter before Q&A comes through. I'm not sure what weapons to get next. I've got so many on the list that I want, but it's like you should have at least 3 weapons. Something for garden and land defense. Yeah, small vermin, small time hunting, if food gets scarce, maybe that woodchuck starts to look like more than just a piece of dead flesh. Something for everyday carry, as applicable under state laws. And then something that's more powerful for home invasions, burglars and shit like that. It doesn't matter if you're in a rural, low crime area, like Rutland, or whether you're in, a place like New York City, which is overrun with crime because of liberal state policies. Dr. Zeodin, by the way, first super chat of the day. Styx, when the U.S. leaves war zones, we normally don't take our small arms. Cheaper to buy new stock. Trucks and planes we do take, though. Yeah, but they could have taken it all, because they could have taken the small arms and the gun and the bullets and stuff and put them in the fucking Humvees and then airlifted them out. It wasn't impossible. Biden should have been doing that for months and months anyway. We knew the withdrawal date was May 1st. He had 4 months before then to enact such policies, and he totally ignored the issue. That's the problem. It's largely optics more than anything. I mean, the fact that the Taliban got some M16s and stuff doesn't really change their capabilities. They already had Russian weapons and some U.S. weapons anyway. What it does, though, is it demoralizes the Western hemisphere and shows, hey, the Taliban just seamlessly took everything over because Biden's an idiot. And he is an idiot. Greg Marat, will the 2022 election also be a Hong Kong election? No, I don't think so, because Republicans grew balls because Trump, injected them with testosterone, and then they're actually attempting to go after the local and state elections. They're much more active on the local and state level, which is what they need to be doing. They've always had an upper hand anyway over the Democrats here. And of course, as a non-Republican, I would say libertarians and independents need to do this too. They're taking over housing authorities, city councils, mayor's offices, sheriff's offices, Judges are often elected, local judges. Take them all over. School boards, great example. I think it's going to be hard to fortify the midterm elections. James Thorson, $5, no comment, thank you. William Wing, I'm having trouble quitting alcohol. I know you gave it up some time ago. How many attempts did it take, and do you miss it? No, you will always miss alcohol. It's like a good friend that occasionally stabs you in the back. It's a big problem. By the way, it's funny, the government bans crack, but it won't ban alcohol. Crack is probably easier to quit. Buck Fiden, I think China set this up for Afghanistan to become North Korea 2.0 for their interest. China didn't set it up. It's just the U.S. policy was always terrible anyway. Biden's big problem is he fucked up the withdrawal. We did need to leave. I don't really care if Afghanistan becomes part of the Chinese sphere. It's Afghanistan. It's halfway across the world, landlocked, desperately impoverished, worked with China anyway. The big problem is that we left thousands and thousands of personnel, thousands more U.S. citizens in the Kabul area. They're now trapped in the airport there. It's funny because now, and this is going to be a big video for tomorrow, ISIS, which had been on its last leg, the JV team, as Obama called them, they're back in the fray. They're back in the Kabul area. They've been harassing troops and harassing U.S. civilians enough that they had to reroute people. Did you see that story? ISIS is back. Wonderful, Joe. Trump had scared the living shit out of them. By the way, we have exactly 666 people watching live right now. 2 BLUs, Biden loser units. We are twice as popular as the so-called president of the United States. Good times. And this is just a fucking Q&A show. There were over 10,000 people watching live when I was just reacting to Biden's initial Afghanistan address. Jack O'Neill, what do you think of the State Department's stealth gun control by banning the import of Russian arms and ammo? Also, will you try RAIN or BANG? I don't know what those are. Gun related? Probably. I oppose all ammo bans, all import bans of every kind. However, what this will do is it'll be great for U.S. manufacturers. If the Russian ammo isn't coming in, well, that just means that the U.S. ammo goes up marginally in price. They'll be making bank. Biden, of course, doesn't understand this because he's a liberal. He doesn't understand economics. He's also demented. So, yeah, more power to him. U.S. manufacturers need to up the supply. I realize that means lowering the price per bullet incrementally, but the supply needs to be up because there's so much demand for it. Crafty Huragok. Styx, what do you think about a court saying Mexican people can cross the border once it is illegal, twice is legal because more racism? I don't know what that refers to. You mean if they get deported and they come across again, that they can stay and it's no longer a problem? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past the federal government in its current incarnation to have such a weird policy. Crispy Tendies. Hey, Styx, finally caught the show live. Question, can you talk about the controlled opposition? Much love from the communist state of Victoria, Australia. Yeah, a very large amount of opposition is controlled. You'd think of the alt-right remnants at this point. MGTOW, groups like that. I can't talk at much length, though, because it's so self-evident and so obvious. Joe Biden's dentures. Styx, what do you make of the media turning on Potato Joe? Ohio clankers checking in. I think it's hilarious, but it's brought a flood that goes well beyond the Afghanistan problem. The biggest problem, and technically, domestically, the border crisis is still the #1 issue, that and inflation. But those were put on the back burner because the legacy media never questioned them. Now that they've told people, hey, it's okay to question Joe Biden, everyone's asking all of the questions, not just about the Afghanistan withdrawal. You can look for his approval to crater a couple more points. He'll be deep underwater by the end of the next week. Mickelvo, one thing I like about Trump is that he's not afraid to say wokeness is for losers. His Alabama rally from Friday. Yes, on Friday he had a massive ass rally there and said everything woke turns to shit. And this was to great applause. He's right. He's not wrong. He's basically the acting president anyway at this point. He draws the crowds, gets the attention. He doesn't even have to be on social media. He's also showing the toothlessness of censorship. I think that's accidental. I think that he wants to be on Twitter and Facebook and all these sites, but he's showing that technically speaking, you can still speak out and you can still be heard and you don't even need big tech to do it. By the way, he is on Rumble. The Getter account apparently is not actually him. Mark Urzhevek. Hey, Styx, could a flood of millions of refugees to Europe cause the collapse of Western civilization? No, not just millions. It'd have to be tens or hundreds of millions. But it's still wrong. There shouldn't be any refugees. We didn't have to botch the withdrawal. This entire situation was 100% completely avoidable. Rosie, just because, sending me $100. It's a lot of energy drinks. Thank you very much. Jack O'Neill, Rain and Bang are energy drinks. 300 milligrams of caffeine per can. Basically Red Bull on steroids. I don't know how much is in this. I've got this is called 9 energy drink. This is the 0 sugar one. It's got aspartame in it, so probably turn my nuts into tumors, but we'll see. And of course, the can is in Dutch, so it takes me a minute. I don't actually know. Which caffeine? Yeah. Okay, so this can, let's see, that's per 100 milliliters. This would have about the same as a cup and a half of coffee or something. About 100, thereabouts. By the way, this is the tastiest energy drink that I've witnessed. Maybe the studies about aspartame, that was just because it tasted too good. They wanted them to use other sweeteners. It's that stevia lobby, again, all the hippies. Shifty, if you're looking for a new carry piece, check out the SIG P365XL T Texan. Yeah, what I really want to get is a Banshee pistol chambered in 5.7 because I saw that on Demolitia. He was doing that, and it goes right through body armor. And I figure that's potentially an advantage depending on your assailant. Getting a good shotgun at some point. I like the idea of getting a 357 revolver, because then you can shoot 38 special out of it too, so it's dual ammo. Nick Ray, do you think Trump could win in 2024 if he runs, even after totally losing fair and square to Biden? Honk honk, keep up the good work. Yeah, I think in a matchup he'd win today if he ran. Keep in mind, I mean, there's time for Biden to redeem himself by simply sitting in the basement and doing nothing. He's never more popular when he does absolutely nothing. I fully endorse this, by the way. The Biden administration should just take a lid day for the next 3 years. Best time ever. Do absolutely nothing. Jesse Martin, Styx, where did the lore of 10.2 originate? This was a joke about my cock length, and I don't actually know who began it. It was years ago. I'm not actually sure. At first it was 10 inches, then it became 10.1, and for some reason, unknown to me, 10.2 is like the ultimate sticking point, and this became hilarious, along with the idea of plushies and spoon clank. That's the official endorsed meme of Styxhexendom, clanking your spoon. Everyone clank along, make sure to get your coffee or tea or whatever. The crappy robot. Sex is a lot like the US military. Pull out at the wrong time and you'll waste 20 years and a shitload of money. Yeah. That's a good one. But the US, it's not the military's fault, it's Biden's fault. The withdrawal is default. We did have to leave. That I perfectly agree with all of the Democrats on. We needed to get out. We never should have gotten in the first place. That's W's fault. Obama does the troop surge. Trump tries to get us out. Biden ignoring the date is the main problem that we currently face. Mr. Knox, been following your content. Thanks for your insight. What's going on? Keep them coming. Yeah, every single day, plus new tech exclusives. If any of you are not following me on places like BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and Minds, keep in mind, 2 videos a day go on those platforms that don't go on YouTube, because there is plenty of verboten content to discuss. Charmed Superior. In the UK, Great Britain, we have a housing shortage, but now we have an influx of refugees placed on a priority list. I'm worried for my country. What can we do? Well, I guess you'll have to crowd 10 people to a room like you're living in Zambia or Bangladesh in order to make room for your new guests. That's sarcastic, by the way. Apparently, that's what the government there wants. There's a housing shortage here, but the refugee thing isn't quite as much of a thing, I think. That seems to be UK, Germany, and France, mainly, that do that. New vibes. Who is your favorite punk band? Well, if you consider the early wave of Batcave-style goth to be technically punk, I'd say Christian Death, but only with Roz Williams. I like the Ramones. I like punk in general. G.G. Allen, I think, is great, but his never-ending assortment of different bands he worked with, can't really make a choice. You won't get punk like that anymore. Now it's all Green Day. It's all mall shit. HM, no super stickers? Never. I will never enable super stickers or the channel membership horse shit. It's like you shouldn't have to pay to be a member on channel. Oh, you're an important person. You've got like a emoji next to your name or something. Super chats are fine. Noah Sanders. Have you got any suggestions or advice for young people, 26 here, who want to run for local, state, or federal office to help course correct the country? Love watching you and everyone else helping to get us the truth. Practice speaking. Keep in mind that your opponent in many races is an idiot anyway. So don't get intimidated. Get a small group of people who are driven, who are politically motivated and civically minded, and then go from there. I can't give you huge amounts of advice, of course. Like when I did my gubernatorial run, it was me making a YouTube video basically mocking Phil Scott. Still got 16 votes in the election, none of which, by the way, were mine. It's a helicopter going over. I guess they're coming to get me. I talked about the Taliban too much. But yeah, organized locally, the internet can only go so far. WZG. Styx, do you believe the US will become communist soon? It sure does seem that way. No, that's called, that's basically Sun Tzu strategy. The leftoids have lost basically everything, but they try to pronounce themselves strong. They're hoping to demoralize you so you won't fight. Really, they're outnumbered 100 to 1. Nobody wants communism, not even most of the leftoids. So Human Centipede, you'll be glad to know that me and my folks filled out our ballots for the California recall. For fellow clankers in California, first question is yes to recall Newsom. Second question is whoever you want to replace him. That'll probably be Larry Elder, and I think there's a better than 50-50 chance Newsom gets kicked out. The Democrats, by the way, the damage control, they're like, what was the article? It was like 3 days ago. That Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. And all the most off-the-wall horse shit you can possibly imagine. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink, essentially, at the California recall. They're afraid it'll cause them to lose the Senate, by the way, by default. Sky Cloud Drain. Hi, Styx. Will you ever return home? You worried if the U.S. pulls out of NATO entirely, leaving Europe at the mercy of Eastern powers, China and Russia? Well, no, then it'd be at the mercy of France and Germany more than anything. No, I don't worry about that. The U.S. won't pull out of NATO. The U.S. runs NATO. It's a cash grab, basically. Trump, by the way, reforming it mostly. He was successful. I don't think Biden's gone back on that, by the way. Interesting how that's the one Trump-era thing he doesn't want to repeal. But yeah, I'll be back in the U.S. at various times. Basically, I'm a free spirit. I can just go wherever I want. Maybe I'll visit Ukraine sometime. That'd be funny. Liz says, yeah, she likes the Eastern Bloc. She's into the post-Soviet brutalism and stuff. I do like the history and things like that. But I mean, have you ever seen Eastern European MREs? I don't really. I mean, I had food poisoning from some oysters just the other day. I don't want to push my luck. Greg Marat. The truck drivers in Australia and New Zealand are planning to go on a strike from 31st August over the lockdowns. Will it backfire if they do? No, and more people should participate. I saw the other day there's a massive ass crowd in Australia. I think it was in Melbourne, actually, or Sydney, pushing back against the lockdowns. And they broke through the police lines. The police were running like little chickens, little pussies, which makes sense. They're the most pussified people. Imagine trying to fuck around with the Australians, people that basically they walk out their door and every living thing around them is trying to eat them or something or poison them. MGS Fan 8494. Hey man, thanks for all you do. Is there such a thing as too many guns? I don't think so. Well, if you get so many you can't maintain them properly, that would be a problem. You know, you got your own bunker. Can't even keep them all oiled. Chris Holmes, message retracted. I don't know what you said. I don't know whether you did that or YouTube. It's becoming more of a problem. That used to not happen at all. It's happened like 5 or 6 times in the last couple of Super Chat Q&As. Blaze, hey Styx, glad to finally catch one of these live. Always curious how far your computer knowledge goes, as I am an enthusiast. Do you know how to code? No, not really. I used to be pretty good with computers back in the day of like Windows XP and could do all sorts of crazy shit with them. Not so much now. It's becoming more and more proprietary. Santamira, Dio-era Sabbath is superior to Ozzy. See, that's an insult that you paid to post. I believe that Ozzy's Black Sabbath is superior, although Dio's solo work is definitely better than Ozzy's solo work. The Crappy Robot, Vaush thought it was funny when you chose not to debate him. He's now choosing not to debate Lauren Southern. Interesting. Yeah, and the other night, I think, didn't Destiny skip out on Colette? They were going to be on, I think, the kill stream. When I showed up, they weren't. Destiny wasn't there. I think he said something about a medical emergency. I'm like, oh, because you're a midget. He had to go get lengthened so that he could actually be in frame along with Colette. Opinionated junkie. Will Florida have a Dem governor in 22 due to rise in cases? I don't think so, because I think that the number of new cases will drop off a cliff fairly soon, because at some point you do achieve, if not herd immunity, at least enough of a reduction in the number of people that are susceptible, the number of new cases tends to drop. I think that they're deliberately oversampling in Florida to try to create a political polemic. Mickelvo. I have my half-liter of water with creatine, with spoon to stir and clank. Does that count? Yes. Yeah, you can clank along with any liquid and drink vinegar if you want. When I had food poisoning there, I took a few sips of vinegar to help settle my stomach, and it actually did work. Oh man, no oysters ever again. Matthew Hammond. Did the U.S. make the mistake of not working with the tribal leaders in Afghanistan to naturally create a federal government? Yeah, it tried to work with them a little bit, but then stabbed them in the back with the withdrawal. The Human Centipede. You would have liked working at my job this weekend. It was Hawaiian themed and we were free to wear Hawaiian shirts, or as you call it, boomer camo, lol. Yeah, did they do Hawaiian pizzas? You know, Razor Fist will be he'll be showing up, he'll parachute down and kill everyone maybe. I had Hawaiian pizza the other day. Today I have some other unidentifiable kind of pizza. I think it's got like ham and pepperoni and weird shit. It's one of those frozen pizzas. By the way, the selection at the local Jumbo here is so much more massive. There's like 100 different kinds of frozen pizza alone. It's crazy. They have one called Big American, which has like stuffed crust and stuff. And it's hilarious because it's insinuating that Americans are fat as fuck. And I'm like, well, they're not entirely wrong in many places. Paul C. Hi, from Melbourne, Australia. Longtime fan. As you know, things are going obviously great here. But just in case, have you any thoughts on how to help avoid black pill overdose? Thanks, friend. Yeah, civil disobedience is a thing. Just Google that. B. Newman. The ATF recently considered guns with FRT-15 triggers are machine guns. As far as I know, the trigger just resets quickly in place and you can still shoot semi-automatically in a single trigger pull. Thoughts? Sounds a little bit like the bump stock ban. That didn't hold up in court. I don't think, didn't Biden's ATF try to ban folding pistol braces? You know, for tactical pistols, like the Banshee. I think they're trying to do that. I doubt it'll hold up. Basically, they keep getting cock blocked by SCOTUS. Jose Alba. Elijah Schaffer, slightly offensive, is now attacking Trump, behaving like anomaly. Yeah, a lot of people, really, the rats are trying to flee because they think the ship is sinking, even though the ship is actually still afloat. It's a little bit like watching little confused animals panic because they heard a loud noise, trying to save themselves from a threat that's not even there. They're definitely black-pilled. Again, Sun Tzu. They've decided not to fight because they're convinced that the enemy has won already. Ian Howe. Sorry about the earlier ball busting. Here's a free Red Bull from your Massachusetts neighbor. I think that's at $4.99. That's 2 Red Bulls. So you're trying to kill me with a caffeine overdose. It's an assassin. He must be a communist. Just joking. Gumsy666. Today, the Swedish Social Democrat PM announced he will resign in the autumn, 1 year before the election. Interesting times. I didn't hear about that. I'll have to look into that story. Swedish Prime Minister. Matthew Hammond. Can you go visit YouTuber V in Romania? Romania is a bit far, but yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. Romania seems awesome, but good food, that's for sure. Opinionated junkie. If a company says, no, we will not cancel this person and the profits are not affected, more companies could do the same and cancel culture is defeated. Yeah, we need to make it less lucrative to engage in cancel culture. That requires organization. It requires boycotts of companies that engage in such behavior. It's just like when they fly the pride flag on their US Twitter page, but they don't do it on their Arabic language page. They just do it to sell more shit. Major Babbage, how does your wife feel about you looking like Jesus? How can I change my donations from pounds to dollars? Then I can ask you questions for less money. Yeah, but I like more money, so I'm not going to tell you. I literally don't know how, so I'm not trying to screw you or anything. I think that, do you like the way I look? Yeah, I look cute. I like to be compared to Judas more than Jesus myself. Random 3263827. 2 questions. First, What is the exact type of chamomile you grow? That would be Roman chamomile, not the German variant that produces more. The Roman stuff I think is tastier and easier to grow. It spreads profusely, you wouldn't believe it. I'd like to get some heirloom seeds. 2, occult. What are the origins of an evil or unclean entity not being able to cross running water? Well, I believe that the idea is that water in general was purifying, especially running water, as opposed to stagnant. This was definitely the case in Babylonia. They did have demons of stagnant water explicitly. I think it's called the Gelal, if I remember correctly. Mentioned in the Necronomicon outside of authentic context, but still technically the case historically. I believe that was also the case within Islam. I think Muhammad had said something. He was queried about some stream or something. It had like dead animals and human shit in it, and declared it pure anyway because he claimed that it couldn't be, defiled. Something like that. Medical advice from antiquity. Jack O'Neill. On the topic of too many guns, how do you feel about retired FUDs going into shops when they open and cleaning them out to hoard the ammo? Someone else, I guess, has to camp out and beat him to the punch then. I don't have any problem with that. It's good for the ammo sellers. I just wish that people were able to create their own ammo mills more easily. I know you can hand load, but I mean like on a semi-industrial scale. I should get into that. Make my own ammo brand. Now I'll take investing. I'll have to take investing from China at this point. Sky Cloud Rain. Arizona, where I live, supposedly we get the results of the audit Monday. If what expected is found, what happens next? I fear false flags to bury the news. I would expect that the audit results will be there was nothing wrong, it's all fine, and it'll be hushed up. I don't think the expected result will be, oh yeah, actually Trump won the Arizona election. But here's the thing. Even if it's just Arizona doing the audit, even if it flipped the state, it wouldn't ultimately matter. He wouldn't have won the election. The normies then will crow about it. Rachel Maddow will say that Trump endorses conspiracy theories, and they'll call it a day. At this point, it's too late to do anything about it. The human centipede. With Biden screwing us in Afghanistan, do you think that now some Dems won't vote on the infrastructure bill because they've lost confidence in him? It's possible. As his approval goes down, his mandate over his own party decreases. He could end up losing support. That would be a good thing, by the way. Save us from more inflation. Leonardo Diamond, did Joe Biden commit treason by arming the Taliban? Arguably, although I would say it's more stupidity. I don't think that, I genuinely think because he's demented, he probably wasn't aware that the Taliban would be able to advance so quickly because all the yes men and cronies around him told him so. Technically, it's their fault. He says the buck stops here, but he's not the one controlling the buck. He doesn't even know what socks to put on in the morning. His wife has to dress the fucker. Todd S. Which one of the new tech sites that you upload to do you believe is the best? None of them. I use them all equally. So you mean BitChute, Minds, Odyssey, and Rumble. They all have their pros and their cons. They have different processing speeds, different searchability, different TOS, different upload limits and stuff like that. I use them all equally. That's why I put all the same content on each of them equally. Chris Holmes, let me try again. Channel 9 Australia being interrupted by a satanic mass. Thoughts, if you're aware? Yeah, I saw that. Apparently, they accidentally aired a clip of footage of a satanic mass or something. My assumption it was a clip from a different news story, and it was accidental. But, it's still kind of funny. I don't think it's something spooky woo. I think it's more like, one of their interns just got fired for being stupid. Opinionated Junkie, thoughts on JonTron debate with Destiny? Well, Destiny loses by default in any debate he has. He's never won one except for against Vouch because he's a little midget. JonTron's all right at discussing things. He'll wipe the floor, but Destiny's fans are a cult, so they'll declare him the winner anyway. Ainsley187, if a 757 hit the Pentagon on 9/11, why is there no video of it? Well, there is a video clip, just doesn't show much. They claim it's due to technological limitations. I don't know. Something hit the Pentagon, though. Missile, plane, doesn't really matter to me. Mickelvo, Count Dankula, Sargon, and Lotus Eaters are just across the channel, dude. I'm sure it would be time well spent. Yeah, I'd go to the UK, except I might get, deported from the country if I ever showed up. They got weird laws with regards to political opinions. Skycloud Rain. Lastly, infrastructure bill, law, or no. It's an authoritarian dream from travel rights to questioning science. It also attacks crypto. What do we do? Oppose it verbally. Go and make yourself known on the internet. Protest it. You know, some of you are in the DC area. Go and protest it. A lot of people don't know it has anything to do with crypto. Although, for those of us who are holding on for dear life, for those of us who refuse to sell the crypto because of the potential initial negative impact, we'll clean up. Again, disclaimer, not official financial advice, but I've bought in. I've even thought about buying more, especially Cardano at the moment, considering how much that popped. I've made over $1,000 in gain on my investment. That's because if it's corporatized, the 99% of banks and corporations that don't do crypto all of a sudden will buy in. That's because they'll say, well, it's regulated, so it's safe now. The government has a handle on it. They'll all start buying it up helter-skelter. They're hoping that everyone else will sell and that the price will crater so they can do that at the low. And then when it spikes, they're left again holding all of the wealth. Well, I'm holding on. I'm considering buying more. Matthew Hammond, try stevia sweetened Zevia raspberry lime energy. Never heard of it. But you gave me $1.99, so I guess I can afford one if I can find it. Emily C. I thought the media knew they were lying, but then they all got vaccinated and vaccinated their kids. Why did media fall for the vaccine? Can't get into that much on YouTube. I am not anti-vax. I'm not in favor of jabbing myself with something that I'm not afraid of. Anyway, you got to understand, most of these people in the legacy media, they're just normal people that happen to have high paychecks. They're not particularly intelligent. You don't need that much intelligence to get a journalism degree. Cold Summer 91. Which side is more doomed, left or right? The old right and the old left are both doomed. It's only a matter of what they're replaced with. So I'm hoping the Dems crash and burn in the midterms and have to adopt party of JFK attitude. They go back to civic liberality. No, they'd be the better party. They'd be better than the Republicans. But it's a long time coming, I think, before that happens. Tom McMorrow. Styx, I am making you a wall art gift that I think you'll dig. How do I get it to you? You can DM me on Twitter and we can work on stuff like that. I don't really give out my email because that's more for getting spammed at this point. Email is the new snail mail. It used to be novel. Now it's like boomer mode. Polly P. Hi, Styx. I love your destruction of logo. Who thinks Xi and Mao did nothing wrong? I should lend him my Decoder books on China's evil deeds. Well, I mean, he's in an echo chamber of his own creation. It's rather sad. It's funny how his fans were so gung-ho about him beating the shit out of me in that debate, and basically it was a cakewalk. Honestly, I expected him to do better. Same with Anomaly. It's like, can I have a debate partner that's not shitty at debating? Mark Erzsébek, have you heard of Professor Kevin McDonald? Are you a fan? Never heard of him, so I don't know. I'm actually not a fan. I'm cleverly disguised as a human being. Shifty, this comment contains 50 characters, including spaces. Rather prosaic. Darun Albane, sci-fi book Last Centaurian, had a dissertation on types of trust in societal, familial versus society, familiar versus societal. Afghan is a perfect example of the first. Yeah, exactly, which is why Biden's people failed. They just don't understand. Going back on your word in a society like that with the passionate people, it's not going to fly. You'll get the hatchet won't get buried except in your fucking skull. But Western politicians often, it's below their pay grade to even study such things. They're too busy thinking about how to kill people or how to grift more money. Cordyman 321. If the audits show up nothing, could it be said that it lacked signature matching? Also, what spices would you prefer for small growers? All herbs and spices are equal in my book. There are some that I like more than others. Having some chamomile, it's easy to grow. It spreads itself, so it's easy. You make tea with it. You can grow, in this climate, you can grow actual tea trees, actually. I've seen them in the store. I'm not so much into that. I think my favorite is basil. And there's a million different kinds. I want to get some red basil. Right now I've got a sweet green basil out there. Liz planted it though. Here's a secret about me. I've got a green thumb, but I've never gotten a basil plant to transplant successfully, other than outside in the garden. If I try to pot it up, it'll immediately die. I don't know. As for signature matching, I don't know. That would be part of it potentially. Leonardo Diamond. When Wendigos, are they a myth or running the world? Do you mean Wendigos? Not 100% sure. Gigi, how do you weigh the morality of Trump pushing the vaccines if Fauci isn't warp speed Trump? I don't have a problem with Trump saying that you should get vaccinated. He pointed out clearly you've got your freedoms. You don't have to. That's basically my point. I don't approve of vaccine mandates, COVID travel restrictions, business restrictions. If people want the vaccine, it can be available. They've got to know, though, it is currently not FDA approved, number one. They're putting a technically experimental substance into their body, even if it is approved for emergency use. And number two, it is their freedom to do that or not. There are some groups of people that benefit by being vaccinated, the elderly, the fat, immunocompromised, potentially, depending on the situation, people who have other conditions. For the average person, they have to weigh the cost and benefit. They have to analyze the risk and the reward. They can't do that if there's no vaccine. They can't do that if vaccine is required. Desert Hamster, want me to mail you some fresh fish? Yeah, no, definitely. I'm off seafood for a while until I feel better about it after the oyster incident a few days ago. I've got all this tuna salad stuff in there. By the way, there's a Mexican-style tuna salad I've got up there. I got like 7 tins of it. It tastes real good, man. But I can't even think about eating it right now. AO 1968, thank you. Well, thank you too for the 10 bucks. Richard Ryan, a teacher friend, honk honk, was threatened with dismissal because there was a photo of him in a protest endangering the school community. Thoughts? That is a taxpayer-funded position if it's a public school, and therefore subject to different policing than normal jobs. Teachers are held to a different standard. I would oppose the idea of firing someone for protesting, for exercising their right, but because it is a partially state or federal position, again, it's like teachers can't lead students in prayer. Student can pray before the test. Teacher can't say, hey, everyone, we're going to pray before the test. That's fairly simplistic. Cold Summer 91. I put $25 in Cardano months ago. Now I have $52. I hope it skyrockets. What other coins do you own? I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, and Cardano. Those are the 6 that I hold. Cardano is the one I bought into most. I think I made the right decision. I bought some Bitcoin Cash. That was popping the other day. They're all popping. It's a considerable amount of money, by the way. Oh, yeah, and then I have LBC, but that's separate. I don't have that on my Exodus wallet. I have a very large amount of LBC. This is the one that is on the Odyssey network. Christy Goddard, my daughter, 24, me, 47, my dad, 68, all watch and buy your books. Keep up the good work. That is excellent taste for you, your daughter, and your father. Make sure to tell all of your family, friends, and neighbors about the glory that is Clankdom. Sky Cloud Rain, why can't we abolish ballot machines and computer voting? Paper ballots in person only. Why so controversial? In Euro, they don't ID and they have to show up. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that electronic voting machines should be banned. I think you should have to show an ID. Doesn't really matter which ID, but show that you're a resident of the area you're voting in, the precinct. We could get away, do away with precincting and simply have the residency requirement. That could potentially work. As long as that part would have to be technically electronic, though, because then you'd have to redact them from eligible voters the second that they claim their ballot in their own precinct. Otherwise, they could vote multiple times. We could pull it off. Estonia has, don't they have electronic only voting, like by email and shit in Estonia? Their election's probably less fortified than the US election. Cold Summer 91. How hilarious is it that Chris Chan ended up on Tucker Carlson? What a timeline we're in. He did? I didn't hear anything about that. Did he get bond? Or are you talking about something that happened like a while ago? Probably the latter. Fool me twice. If the whole legacy media is bashing the Biden admin Afghanistan situation, then is he doing something right? It feels strange for them to be in lockstep. No, this is just the natural reaction to their subconscious visceral hate of having to take marching orders from Biden's administration. They realize he fucked up enough so that they don't have plausible deniability for defending him. HM, have you ever received a $500 super chat? No, I think the highest was actually in the last stream I did. I think someone gave $300. I think. There are plenty of people who have donated large sums. It's actually interesting. Jesse Martin, Styx, get a Trezor or Ledger for your crypto. Easy to use and the safest way to store crypto. Yeah, I've thought about doing it like USB mode. I've thought about that. Exodus seems pretty functional at the end of the day. I trust them with their security, which is pretty tight. There are a million ways to store it on your computer, on like Exodus wallet, on a, there are other sites and shit. Here's the thing though, at some point I will sell much of the crypto, but I think I'll always hold some of it because it'll continue to rise. But if it were to really, really spike, at some point I would say, well, I mean, if I can make fucking potentially 6 figures in profit after taxes, I don't really, I'm not holding out to be a billionaire or anything like that, but it'd be nice to be able to buy some land and just go sit on it and say, well, I've got mine. Balin's Bane, $4.99. Thank you very much. No comment. Yeah, we got through the super chats. Some days it's impossible to do that. By the way, 2,000 people watching. We are above 6 BLUs. That is Biden loser units. We're almost at 7 actually. 300 viewers, the average viewership live for any of Joe Biden's official White House addresses. So keep in mind, we're 6-7 times more popular than the so-called president of the United States at the moment. Great times. Cameras are awesome. Styx, you got me into gardening. You're always welcome to the produce here of mine in Arizona if you are ever here. Well then, thank you. For legal purposes, now I can come to your farm. I will harvest everything and I'll sell them at a general market. I'm just joking. I won't take your pumpkins. Kev's border crisis solution. Build the wall. We had a solution. It was called keep Trump in office, build the rest of the wall, and call it a day. And then go after the sanctuary cities and states and let the southern states help guard their own borders. I fail to see why the southern states, why should they be discriminated against over inland states that don't have an aquatic border or a maritime border or a southern or northern border with Canada or Mexico? Why should they be treated differently? Other states have border patrol and ship. Biden was even talking about keeping people from traveling interstate on air or by mass transit if they weren't vaccinated, which, by the way, would be just shy of treason. Mark Erzhevek, would you visit Israel? No, I'd rather not get hit in the head with a mortar. I have a feeling people there probably just yelled that I was a Nazi and beat me up or something. This is the world we live in. Ignorance is prime in most people's minds. Leftoids still think that I'm a cross-dresser too, so they're not sending their best and brightest. This is why I often don't bother debating leftoids. It's like there's no point. How can you debate someone that's got so much cognitive dissonance that no matter how much proof to the contrary, they'll continue to believe lies? There's no point to it. It's a waste of time. Yeah, by the way, Tom, they're pointing out 174,000 people were watching the Trump rally last night just on RSBN. Can you imagine Joe Biden getting that? How many people were watching the official stream, the White House stream, of his official Afghanistan address? I was on the WAPO stream, which I think had a delay. I can't remember how many people were watching at peak, but it wasn't that impressive. Not considering the nature of it. There were 11,000 people watching me just reacting to it, and I wasn't even showing it on screen. Joe Biden's a joke. 80 million votes my ass, by the way. Skycloud Rain. Bill proposed to ban unvaxxed air travel. Thoughts? Yeah, I just mentioned that. That's a crazy idea. Completely insane. Probably wouldn't hold up in the courts. I'm thinking to myself, well, you can get on a ship. You can, depending on, if you're in Canada or Mexico, you can apparently walk across the border illegally and nobody will stop you, but you're not allowed to fly. Why is that any different from getting on a cruise ship? On the plane, you're only on it for a few hours and everything is nice and all the air is heavily, heavily filtered. And it started doing that for flu season anyway. On a cruise ship, you don't get that luxury. I guess they're expecting that people would be reluctant to do that because then if there's a single COVID case on the cruise ship, they get locked on the dock for months at a time. That's the point at which you just fucking say, fuck you, and jump overboard and swim to the shore. What are they going to do about it? People have the right to movement. But yeah, for those of you who are in and weren't here at first, Biden's failure is so abysmal that the Taliban's still trolling him. and this will be the main video for tomorrow. They literally recreated the raising of the flag over Iwo Jima. You remember from World War II, that iconic image, the American soldiers have the flag and they're propping it up. By the way, they had to actually redo that photo. The first one wasn't the iconic one. They had them erected a second time. They did that while wearing U.S. gear that was left behind. And now Biden's talking about wanting to bomb all the Humvees and helicopters and shit, as though you couldn't have done that before. And by the way, if Trump were president and the Taliban was doing a flag raising, pretending that they were like Iwo Jima U.S. soldiers during World War II, he would drop a bomb on top of them just to make a point. And then they would shut up. But Biden is weak, so he won't do that. Freedom Autopsy Report. Is Rut Vegas a thing? Yes, we call it, Rutland natives often refer to it as Rut Vegas, because if you go north to south along Route 7, it looks like Las Vegas, especially in the evening, before things close up, they're still lit up. It looks like the Vegas Strip, a bunch of fucking box stores and shit. It's like 6 miles of box stores. Great for shopping. People come from well outside of the county to shop in Rutland. But yes, Rut Vegas is a thing. Josh Davis. Hey, off topic. What are your thoughts on D&D? Current state, previous irritations, origin, and your feelings, how it changed during the Satanic Panic. I've never done Dungeons and Dragons. Some people have tried to meme that I'm into that because, I sort of look like a stereotypical nerd or something. I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts on things that I haven't myself delved into at all. Cameras are awesome. How do you feel about North-Southwest Aussie's new restrictions? France not letting people into grocery stores, coming to the USA. Yeah, the USA will have a harder time because the freedom of movement is more cherished and the Constitution's a thing. What I would say is the Australians are protesting and civil disobedience is a thing. And it's always ridiculed at the time. Well, just follow the law, just deal with it, do as you're told. And then, 10, 20 years later, they're remembered as heroes. It's never easy to be right. It's always harder to be right. That's why if you say the right thing right now in the wrong way on some tech platforms, you get banned. It's a small price to pay to be remembered 30, 40 years later as a martyr. Joe Biden's dentures. Does Biden last out the year or 25th before January? I think Biden will be fine for the year, but at the rate his mentality is declining, I would be extremely surprised if he's president in 2024. I'd be even more surprised if he runs. And I would be absolutely flabbergasted if he does run if he were to win. Whether it's against Trump, DeSantis, fucking Rand Paul, running against a pigeon, I would be surprised. David Kinghorn. Who do you like to replace Feinstein if she resigns with Elder in office? Yeah, that's what the Democrats are terrified because Feinstein's got dementia and she's elderly as fuck and will probably have to resign pretty soon. If the California governor is Larry Elder instead of Gavin Newsom, whoops, the Democrats lose the Senate. It doesn't matter who replaces her. It can't be worse than Dianne Feinstein. Worse than the person who had a chauffeur who was a Chinese spy for the better part of a decade? Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy act to follow. Henkin, do you have a favorite chef? Yeah, my dad, actually. He was a chef for, 3 decades or thereabouts. Cook some good shit. I'd say Liz is a close second here. You should eat her stomp pot sometime. You'll be asking for thirds. Wade Mukunda. Are novel ideas gone? No new culture, games, or movies? Yeah, there's some novelty in some things. It's just less and less because, we got so much fucking material and fanfic and all these things. Arguably, the expanse of independent content creation has actually exhausted the pile of creativity 100 times quicker and actually led to a crisis, which is great. I think it's funny as hell. J. Reed ZZ. Hey Styx, thanks for all your videos. I watch them every morning. Question, is Australia cucked or not? I see protesting, but a lot support the lockdown. The majority will always do what they're told. That's with any people. Everyone in the world, their cultures are cucked. Individuals are often not. It's par for the course. We'll see what happens. Matt Busby, are they really banning the cheapest ammo you can buy? Well, you get what you pay for at some point. Get that bulk federal ammunition, you'll have some misfires. I've never had a single misfire with like the standard American Eagle shit, which I know is the same company, different line, Winchester, stuff like that. If you get the cheap ammo, it'll function cheaply in many cases. So I'm not gonna get a Taurus. Mikkelvo, there's a TED Talk back from 2007 called Ashraf Ghani, How to Fix Broken States. You can't make this shit up. Oh, I'm not surprised in the least. I'll look that up maybe at some point. By the way, please don't send any more super chats because we're running up on 50 minutes and there's still a couple here. Manny Pardo, as tragic as it is, I'm loving all the memes that are being made about the Afghanistan situation. I saw one in which you, Sam Hyde, and Sargon were referred to as warlords and the Al-Clanker militia seized all the produce. Yeah, there was one where, you know Haqqani there, the deputy minister? They've got my face overlapped onto him. So I guess I lead the Haqqani network in this meme universe. Oh, the trolling, the Taliban trolling Biden, people making memes about this shit. It's like, what else are we going to do but laugh? Because it's just so absurd. Devin Armstrong, what would you do if you became governor of Vermont? I'd veto everything and I'd force the Democrats to own all of their shitty tax increases and regulations. Meanwhile, I'd use my executive power to nullify Phil Scott's unconstitutional gun control by commanding state and local forces to simply not actually defend it. And then I'd sue. I would get some lawsuits going and I would have the DOJ, I mean the state's attorney general rather, not defend against challenges to the gun control. So I'd rip that apart and I wouldn't raise taxes. I'd force the Democrats to do it themselves and then let them own the crisis that comes. And hopefully there would stop being a Democratic supermajority in the House and Senate there. I would never run for that. Like I've talked before, I've joked about running for office. I'd never run for anything in DC because I'd have to move there and that would suck dick. If I did run, it'd probably be for Logan. It'd probably be mayor of Rutland or something. You know, something like that would be cool, I guess. But then you have to work. You have to show up at certain times. You have meetings you have to schedule. And like, you can't just say, well, I'll show up whenever I show up. You're not allowed to do that. You have a schedule. Right now, I don't have any. I wake up when the fuck I want or when the cats wake me up. They're by the way, a less vicious taskmasters, even if they're worse than like a corporate schedule. You have to like go to work. You have to go to the office. You have to dress a certain way usually. Fuck that. Some other guts. As a guy who lived in the Philippines, I'm hoping that Biden and whoever is pulling his strings don't screw up an even more. China's getting worse here as time passes by because of him being weak. Yeah, they're constantly warmongering after their neighbors. Most of it's just saber rattling. No, we'll see what happens. Chicken lettuce, message retracted. I don't know what you sent, whether YouTube removed it or you did. Anyway, we've gone through the super chat, so I think I'll end it here. We're almost at 55 minutes. I still have a few other things I want to do. I'm assembling some drawers. We'll go out to the store again, check out the garden, pet the cats and so forth. And I'm going to be playing Fallout. This time through, I'm siding with the Institute. I know that's not like the greatest ending, but I like the synth relay grenades with some mods attached to them at least, so those come in handy. They stop being useless like in the base game. Should do a video on the politics of Fallout 4. Oh, there's one more. Mick Adams. Hey, from Melbourne, lockdown 43 or something. Had a lucid dream last night where I heard my girlfriend snoring the whole time. Weird. I don't think that was a dream. It was actually reality. Make sure to monitor her for sleep apnea. By the way, it can actually be a legitimate problem, so it's only half joking. All right, I'm going to go off here. I thank you all for tuning in. Oh, one more. BBSQT lead. I enjoy your programs very much. Thank you very much. I enjoy super chats very much. All right, so yeah, we'll end it here at about 54 minutes roughly. That's about all. Peace out.